In the dense jungle, building a shelter starts with reclaiming space from the overgrowth. One man targets thick vines and branches to open a vital shaft of sunlight. Direct light is essential here. It dictates moisture levels and accelerates drying for the earthen floor. By pulling down flexible green wood, he secures initial binding materials while clearing a defensible footprint beneath the natural rock overhang. A secure foundation requires anchoring directly into the compact subsoil. He shapes a sharp, conical point onto a dense hardwood stake to penetrate the earth without splintering the grain. Using a heavy rock as a primitive hammer, drives the timber past the loose topsoil. These vertical stakes will brace the retaining walls against the shifting slope. Moving inward, the pickaxe breaks up the compacted earth near the entrance. The rocky soil is stubbornly bonded, requiring heavy strikes to fracture the crust. Deepening the floor plan lowers the shelter's center of gravity and increases overhead clearance beneath the natural stone roof. Leveling this footprint is exhausting, but an even grade prevents water from pooling during heavy rains. A flat floor is the baseline for everything that follows. A perimeter stone wall defines the boundary between the living space and the forest. Heavy, angular rocks are stacked dry, relying entirely on gravity and friction for stability. The craftsman uses a pry bar as a simple lever to shift massive stones into alignment. This mechanical advantage allows a single person to maneuver immense weights. The low wall acts as a thermal mass, absorbing heat and radiating it back at night. It also forms a crucial windbreak to protect the future fire pit. Bamboo offers an exceptional strength-to-weight ratio, making it an ideal framing material. He trims the poles to uniform lengths, angling the cuts to sit flush against the stone. Arranging them into a lean-to-pitch transfers the structural load directly into the rock face. This angled geometry sheds heavy rain and deflects falling debris from the canopy above. Managing fire inside a rock overhang requires precise airflow and thermal control. Flat stone slabs form a fireback, deflecting intense heat away from vulnerable root systems. Pushing the stones deeper into the pit focuses the draft, feeding oxygen directly to the embers. A thick, charred log acts as a long-burning fuel source. Its carbonized outer layer burns slowly, sustaining a consistent temperature over several hours. The stone ceiling catches this rising heat, turning the entire alcove into a massive radiator. With the fire established, the interior grade needs final refinement. The small shovel scrapes away loose topsoil, exposing the harder, stable earth beneath. This compact sublayer prevents the ground floor from softening when jungle humidity rises. He then hauls a massive stone slab from the surrounding forest to serve as a solid height. Setting this heavy rock flush into the dirt provides a clean, fireproof surface for cooking, insulating the damp ground below. After trenching the perimeter, the builder shifts focus to harvesting primary structural members. Selecting mature bamboo stalks is critical. Older culms have hardened cell walls that resist splitting and rot. He strikes an angled notch into the fibrous base to dictate the falling direction. Shaving the smooth outer bark removes external moisture traps and prepares the surface for lashing. A clean machete cut through the thickest part of the base severs these, the plant without splintering. This harvested timber is naturally resilient, possessing a tensile strength comparable to mild steel. Trimming the delicate up branches leaves a clean, uniform pole ready to bear weight. Two vertical hardwood posts now flank the alcove, establishing the primary load-bearing columns. Cross-bracing these columns requires precision cuts. Using a flat stone as an anvil, the hand saw bites through the dense wood fibers. A clean, square cut ensures maximum surface contact at the joints, eliminating the weak points where the structure might sway. The machete then acts as a heavy draw knife, chamfering the rough edges to prevent the timber from splitting under compression. Every cut is measured against the irregular geometry of the cave. A horizontal wooden lining isolates the living space from the damp earth of the back wall. Instead of metal nails, which rust and degrade, the joints are secured with traditional wooden pegging. A hand drill bores through the interlocking logs, creating a tight friction channel. Driving a slightly oversized wooden dowel into this hole creates a rigid mechanical lock. As the wood eventually dries and shrinks, it binds the joint permanently in place. With the mudded side walls setting, the interior needs a dry, elevated surface. A raised bamboo floor prevents body heat from leaching into the cold stone during the night. the stalks are measured directly against the uneven cave walls to guarantee a custom fit. Chopping the bamboo into uniform sections requires a steady, repetitive rhythm, reading the grain to avoid long, devastating splits. Shaving the ends down removes the bulky nodes, allowing the slats to sit flush. Laying the first piece establishes the horizontal plane for the entire sleeping platform. The air gap beneath will provide vital insulation. Pinning the floor, slats down ensures the platform won't shift under human weight. The hand drill penetrates the hollow bamboo chambers without crushing the brittle outer fibers. A heavy wooden mallet drives the friction pegs deep into the joists below, locking the floorboard into a rigid matrix. Tapping the stalks tightly together eliminates gaps where tools or embers might fall through. To brace the outer edge, a final vertical support is anchored into the corner. Packing wet clay mortar around the base integrates the post seamlessly into the rock structure. The mud sets like concrete. Closing off the cave entrance requires a heavy-duty threshold. Digging a narrow trench across the opening creates a recessed track for a base log anchoring the front wall deep into the subsoil. A thick horizontal timber is dropped into this footing to absorb lateral pressure. To connect the vertical framing, he uses a heavy blade to carve square notches into the wood. Striking against the grain chips out large blocks, leaving a flat, geometric mating surface. These carved joints are vastly superior to simple connections. They physically interlock the timbers to resist shear forces from heavy outside winds. The top lintel caps the doorway frame, transferring the roof load down through the posts. Aligning the beam horizontally ensures the eventual door will swing on a plumb axis without binding. Hardwood pegs are driven straight through the lap joint, pinning the timbers together permanently. At the base, wedge stones are hammered tight against the wood. This technique locks the post firmly in the trench before the soil is backfilled. The dirt is heavily compacted, sealing the foundation against moisture and structural movement. With the main frame secure, the builder must enclose the front wall. Using a sharp chisel, he scores a continuous vertical track down the inside face of the doorpost. Carving this groove creates a recessed channel, allowing wall panels to be slotted in securely without hundreds of individual bindings. Thin bamboo stalks are cut to length and dropped down into the guide track one by one. This slot and groove construction is highly efficient and structurally resilient, as the heavy posts trap the flexible bamboo in a rigid sandwich. pressing each. Stalk down tightly against the one below minimizes drafts and completely seals the interior from the dense jungle outside. The wall builds itself from the ground up. After the exterior walls are sealed with heavy clay, the interior platform needs finishing. The floor poles are laid out and compressed tight against the earthen curve. A heavy tool acts as a tamper, driving the lengths closer together to crush the natural gaps. This mechanical wedging locks the floor deck against the foundation walls, ensuring absolute rigidity. Foraging in the damp underbrush yields a massive, naturally decaying log. Hardwood trunks often rot from the center out, leaving a dense, durable outer ring. A thin blade scores a deep notch, breaking the tough exterior fibers before the saw finishes the cut. Sawing through a log of this diameter requires immense physical stamina, as the wet, binding sawdust creates high friction against the blade. Removing the circular section reveals the naturally hollowed core. This hollow cylinder is a rare find in the wild, providing the perfect insulating geometry for a contained, radiant wood stove. With the heavy log stove hollowed out and moved inside, safe access to the entrance becomes a priority. Short wooden stakes are driven deep into the sloped earth to build a retaining border for an approach staircase. Wet mud is packed tightly behind the formwork, leveling the treads to create a solid base. To prevent the earthen stairs from washing away in monsoon rains, short segments of bamboo are embedded horizontally into the wet clay. Pressing them flush creates an armored anti-slip surface. As the mud cures and hardens around the textured bamboo, the staircase becomes a permanent, erosion-proof feature of the landscape. Inside the shelter, a sturdy bumper frame is constructed to divide the elevated sleeping platform from the cooking hearth. A thick bamboo rail is notched perfectly into the wall, ensuring it won't roll under body weight. Short wooden cross braces sawed to exact dimensions and pegged securely to form a rigid border. This low barrier protects bedding from stray ashes and defines a dedicated, clean sleeping zone. The final line of defense against the jungle is the entrance door. A custom bamboo slatted panel is hung flush within the heavy mortised frame. Driving the final wooden hinge pegs into the lintel allows the heavy door to pivot smoothly. A curved natural branch acts as a durable pull handle. Closing this door physically seals the interior, completing the transition from a raw, open rock overhang into a fortified, defensible home. The separation from the wilderness is absolute. With the structural work finished, the priority shifts to sustenance and heat. Bundles of dry foraging wood are brought inside to fuel the newly installed log stove. The thick, insulating walls of the hollowed trunk concentrate the heat inward, protecting the nearby bamboo floor from catching fire. Small kindling twigs catch a spark instantly, drawing a powerful updraft through the vertical wooden chimney. As the stove reaches operating temperature, the craftsman heads back into the dense thicket to forage. The damp forest floor is a rich ecosystem, hosting small snails hidden among the rotting leaf litter. Collecting these gastropods requires a sharp eye and patience. They provide a vital source of lean, wild protein, completely free, for those who know where to look. Preparing wild edibles requires carefully removing tough, indigestible exteriors. The heavy machete strips away the fibrous outer leaves of the foraged bamboo shoots, exposing the tender, nutrient-dense core hidden inside. The live snails are dropped directly into a black metal cooking pot, joined by slices of fresh bamboo. Slicing the vegetables thinly maximizes their exposed surface area, guaranteeing a fast, even boil over the wood-fired stove. The metal pot is centered directly over the roaring flames of the log stove. Metal transfers heat efficiently, bringing the forest water to a rapid simmer. Stirring the mixture prevents the dense snail shells from settling and burning against the hot bottom. Placing a sealed lid over the pot is a crucial step. It traps the rising steam, building pressure that tenderizes the tough bamboo shoots. Trapping the moisture also retains the natural, earthy flavors of the forage, while cooking the snails thoroughly. When the lid is finally lifted, the dense plume of steam signals a safe, hot meal. In the deep isolation of the jungle night, the fire is the only source of light and warmth. Eating a hot, foraged meal restores the massive calories burned during the grueling excavation. The shelter functions exactly as designed, capturing the radiant heat while deflecting the oppressive dampness of the forest. In the end, structure, Landscape and daily routine operate as one system, a place that produces, protects, and sustains itself. To build a refuge from scratch is to turn wild, raw materials into enduring comfort.